We begin tonight with the long-awaited trial of the suspected Boston Marathon bomber. Jury selection began today, and opening statements should start later this month. Defense lawyers for Dzhokhar Tsarnaev sought to delay the trial. They argued that it's impossible to pick a fair jury in Boston. But on Saturday, a federal appeals court rejected his change of venue request. Tsarnaev is accused of setting off homemade bombs in the 2013 Boston Marathon, which killed 3 people. He could get the death penalty if convicted. Arise News correspondent Gloria Chapa has this report.
Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and his older brother Tamerlan were the 2 accused in the horrific attack that left 3 dead and injured 276 people. Tamerlan was killed in a police shootout, and the younger brother faces 30 charges, including use of a weapon of mass destruction and conspiracy. 17 of those counts carry maximum sentences of life in prison or the death penalty. Attorney General Eric Holder authorized prosecutors to seek the death penalty, making this the highest-profile federal death penalty case since the trial of Timothy McVeigh for the Oklahoma City bombing. So far, Tsarnaev has pled not guilty to all 30 charges, despite what many consider overwhelming evidence against him. Surveillance images show him placing his backpack at the site of the explosion, and while hiding from police after the bombing, he scrawled incriminating messages that were later found by police. Prosecutors also say that while recovering from his injuries in the hospital, Tsarnaev admitted to the bombings. The court summoned a pool of 1,200 potential jurors, all residents of eastern Massachusetts, but only those willing to impose the death penalty can be chosen for trial.
For analysis of what happened in the courtroom today, we turn to Mary Noffsinger, who is a senior jury consultant, and she joins us from Dallas, Texas. Mary, welcome to Arise America. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Debbie.
I know that the jury pool, first of all, is very large. As I understand it, the judge has called in a potential group of 1,200 people. How much bigger is that than normal? And what does that say about his confidence in being able to pick a fair jury?
Sure. Well, that is quite large for a jury pool, but not large considering all the dynamics of this case. One of the things to consider is that this trial is expected to last 3 months at a minimum. So not only are you asking people to consider the death penalty as a sentence, you're asking them to commit a significant portion of their lives to this trial.
Indeed, and this indeed is a high-profile trial. Already today, all day long, media outlets have been comparing this trial to the act of domestic terrorism in the Oklahoma City bombing, the trial of Timothy McVeigh. What dynamic, what role will the fact that it's so high-profile play in selecting this jury?
Well, a huge role. While it's possible that either or both sides has already conducted some type of community attitude survey, the judge and attorneys will both be asking questions of jurors. What do you know about this case? Have you been personally affected? And the like.
We know that they were given, I understand, a rather substantive questionnaire to fill out, which will address some of those things that you just referred to. It's my understanding that this questionnaire has been sealed, that we haven't seen it. But what kinds of questions are on there?
Well, juror questionnaires can vary pretty widely. I'm hoping that some of the questions are assessing juror attitudes and beliefs, which is something that is best addressed with a questionnaire, in my opinion. Certainly, the judge will be asking about hardships, whether they're caring for a child or an elderly person. A questionnaire can be used to assess a juror's ability to speak and understand and respond to the English language. But hopefully there's a little bit more to it, and they can dig a little bit deeper than just basic information and demographics.
You are a jury consultant, advise attorneys as they are deciding whether or not to keep or object to a potential juror. So give me, and I know that this is speculative at best, but some broad swipes of what the ideal juror from the prosecution's point of view would be.
Well, certainly. Obviously, the prosecution would want someone who accepts the death penalty as a viable sentencing option. A lot of times, a person who believes in the death penalty and is willing to assess that in their verdict is somebody who believes in legal authoritarianism. In other words, that an individual's rights are not necessarily as important as the system doing what it needs to do in order to render justice.
And what about from the defense point of view? What are they going to either be trying to avoid to keep off the jury or looking to put on the jury?
You know, something interesting someone asked me today is whether young females who may be part of the hashtag Free Dzhokhar would be potential targets for the defense, or for the prosecution, excuse me. The defense is looking for people who, you know, are open-minded, who value personal freedoms and those types of things. They may choose people who are more liberally leaning in terms of politics. Attorneys have some preconceived ideas about who is good or bad for a case, and it's really important to dig deeper into those beliefs and attitudes.
Mary, as we reported at the top of this segment, there was a request by the defense team to do a change of venue, and the judge did not grant that request. The judge presiding over this trial is Judge George O'Toole, Jr. I understand you've had some experience with Judge O'Toole. Tell us about him.
I have. Well, sure. Judge O'Toole is very commanding in the courtroom. He demands a lot of respect. He gets a lot of respect. And from my experience in his courtroom before, he keeps things to the point. He believes that people are honest and they're going to express themselves when asked the questions that he intends to ask. But he is definitely a no-nonsense kind of guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if the attorneys are very limited in terms of what they will be able to ask prospective jurors.
I'm all out of time, Mary, but very quickly, what's the chance that this jury will be sequestered?
Very strong.
Very strong. Mary Noffsinger, thank you so much. I appreciate your perspective and expertise.
Thanks, Debbie.
We'll talk to you later.